What's going on? I'm doing this review of the USCutter Sc Series 25-inch plotter. I'm doing this review because I've had the plotter for about 9 months, and so far I've been pretty happy with everything. Whenever I was looking into getting an inexpensive vinyl cutter, I really couldn't find many honest and unbiased reviews of the USCutter or the S Series or really any of the cheaper cutters, other than the ones from USCutter. So this one is going to be unbiased. I'm going to go over the pros and cons and cut some lettering out, and then I'll cut a little more detailed design so I can give you guys a little idea of what it can do. Like I said, I've had it for 9 months now. I've been pretty happy with it. I've cut quite a bit of vinyl. Now I just got this to start doing my own t-shirts, basically, and transfers. Since then, I've upgraded to the GCC Expert. But that's not saying that this isn't a good plotter. I just needed two, one at my store and one at my home. So this is kind of like my home office, so apologize. It's a little messy. But anyways, here goes nothing. This is the only issue I ever had with it so far. Only issue that I've had with it. And you see, I got to flip it on. Nothing happens. Right? Nothing happens. Flip it on again. It turns on. That's the only con about it. And I can't really say it's too bad because I called USCutter. This started happening about a month ago. I called USCutter. I forget the name of the customer service rep I spoke with, but he was pretty helpful. He didn't really ask too many questions. I told him I assumed it was something in the power assembly where the contactors weren't connecting. And I just got this in the mail today. You can see it's just basically a new plug and control board. They sent it out free of charge. Shipping included, everything like that. It did have a 1-year warranty on it, so it had about 3 months left in the warranty. But yeah, like I said, they've been pretty good. I bought this because I didn't have a lot of money when I first started, and I needed something inexpensive to get into the market with. Okay. Another thing, if you're like I was and you're looking for something inexpensive too, and you don't have $500 to spend on a good graphics program, you can download this program right here called Inkscape. You can basically do anything you can do on like a Corel Draw with it. I'll show you this. This is just basically just a quick font. This is what I'm going to cut first. Quick font, just an Ohio script, like college type lettering. Alright, you always want to flip it. I'm sure you know this. You always want to flip it when you send it to the cutter. Go to File, go to Export. You can export it to your the included cutting program, which is Sure Cuts a Lot Pro 3 Pro. It does have a plugin you can download to use it with Inkscape. So if, like I said, if you don't have the money to spend $500 on a graphics program, Inkscape can get you through pretty much everything. I mean, it's done quite a bit of detailed stuff for me. Now, since then, I've upgraded to Corel, but when I started, this did everything I needed it to. All right, you always want to flip it, of course, when you send it to the plotter. Blah, 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 blah. Skip through all that. Go up to cutter. It should always be recognized with the USB cable. All right, so we're going to send it to cut. And just make sure everything's good on the cutter. Good to go. Good setup. All right, let's cut. All right, guys. You can see I don't have it set up for as fast as it can go, because I'd rather have a little more precision. But I don't have it set up for as slow as it could go either. So what I have right here, I think I have it set on. I can't get a good view, but it's 400 ms with a pressure of 100 grain. The instructions when I put this together, they weren't the best instructions I've seen, but they had some. Basically, it was mainly on a disc, and the paper instructions, you could tell that this was made overseas because it was in a broken language, broken English, I'd say. But so far, I put it together pretty much pretty easily. It came with 3 blades. It used a roll-in type 40. It came with a 45 degree, I think a 60 degree blade, and one other one. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I've really only used the 45 because I really have only been using it to cut t-shirt vinyl. And also, that's another thing. I've really only used 15-inch wide vinyl. like you see what I'm cutting now, we're cutting on black. I had the most of black and I didn't want to waste a ton of vinyl. We're only doing a foot wide by 6 inch tall cut, basically because, you know, I don't want to waste up vinyl that I could use for other jobs. But that's it. That script is cut right now, so you can see somewhat. If we flip it over, you might be able to see it a little better. But obviously, you know, you'd weed that out and then transfer that on with a heat press. I've seen a lot of people give this cutter bad reviews. The main thing you got to remember is you spent $300 on a cutter, on a 25-inch cutter, compared to spending roughly around $1,700 or more on a Roland. You're probably not going to get the same quality from a Roland, but this will get you by, especially if you're just doing lettering. I mean, this is really all you need to do it with. So we just did that cut. Obviously, you know, you'd weed it out and put it on the t-shirt. I'm not going to do all that because that will take a little longer. I don't want you guys to have you sitting here for 20 minutes weeding a graphic. We'll do a different separate cut. And SureCuts a Lot 3 Pro. Open up a new project I don't want to save because it's nothing important. Alright, let's go to this one. As you can see, this one is a little more detailed. We'll see if it cuts it. There's another con to it I forgot to tell you guys. If you're importing clip art and cutting it on SureCuts a Lot, it seems like the machine doesn't have that large of a memory. So sometimes it'll cancel halfway through the cut. It can be a pain in the ass if you're doing a large cut. So you always want to test it and make sure it can do it on a small cut. This is again, this is a 12 by 6, fairly decent size, but it's not really that big as well. Alright, that's flipped. We're going to cut it. Got everything set up how we want it to be. And we're going to send it over here. You can see you have a loading bar right here sending it. What I've noticed is if it's going to quit working on you, the loading bar is going to go really quick and then stop. So if you see that happening before it's really halfway even through your project, cancel it so you don't lose a ton of vinyl. Because, you know, that's going to add up to your expenses if you're wasting it. Alright, see, it's cutting it right now. Like I said, this could be on a faster speed. It can actually go much faster than this, but I'd rather sacrifice a little speed, at least when I'm cutting at home. If I'm doing a larger job and it's just lettering, then I'll definitely up the speed. But if I'm just at home cutting this, for example, and especially a pretty detailed graphic like this, you want to kind of play with the speed. And if you are going to get one, just play with it a little bit. That's the only way to learn is trial and error. That's how I learned. I'm sure that's how the majority everybody learned. I know there's training classes you can go to, but I mean it's pretty straightforward, especially if you have even a decent grasp on using any kind of graphics program. Like I said, I've left the pressure at 100 grams, I'm sorry, and I've never changed it. I've never had an issue with it. I believe it came. I think it came out the box set at like 80, and it wasn't cut into the depth I needed. So I just played with it a little, put it up to 100. But yeah, for $300, you really can't go wrong. I mean, you really can't get any of the bigger name brands to touch that price. And this one will actually do contour cutting too, where you can print something out on a wide format printer, or you can even use a inkjet and do a inkjet paper transfer, and it will trace the image. I've never messed with those, mainly because I don't have a good quality wide format printer with eco inks, so I can, you know, be able to wash them. And I messed around when I first started printing t-shirts like 3 years ago. I messed around with inkjet and laser transfer papers. And really, to be honest, the quality wasn't there at all. Maybe after 1 or 2 washes, it would be washed off. And you know, I want to offer my customers something that's going to last them some time. And they just look bad. It looks like your generic and homemade iron-on transfers. If you use even the ones that claim they're professional, I bought the ones that are professional, and they, in my opinion, they don't cut it. But yeah, you can see it's getting pretty good on the lines. Let me see if I can get down. It's cutting everything out, pretty detailed. I've been happy with it, but the only other thing I can think of, the only things that I've had issues with are the power assembly right here not flipping on. It still turns on. It's not like it doesn't turn on, but you might have to flip it 3 or 4 times to get it to turn on. And when I first bought it, I bought some of the small, like, foot length vinyl to kind of test it out, and those didn't seem to want to load. They didn't cut properly. You know, now I have it on a roll. It's actually almost at the end of the roll right there. But if you were gonna put some scrap vinyl through it, even if it's only like a foot in length, sometimes when it gets to the end of these pinch rollers, it can get all over the place and start messing up your cut you're trying to do. So that's the only other thing that that's been an issue for me. I've cut quite a few yards of vinyl on this. I'd say probably at least 100 yards of vinyl. I know there's people out there that cut 100 yards of vinyl in a day, but as my first plotter, I cut quite a bit on it. And for $300, well, I paid $80 for the stand too. Definitely get the stand. I would recommend getting the stand with it. Reason being is you have your rollers back here that these sit on. You can move the rollers over for a different roll, but your roll always fits on that, and it never gets kinked or anything like that. If you just had this sitting on a desktop, I've never tried it on a desktop, but I could assume that you could have a few more issues. You're going to get dust on your vinyl, things like that. It's just a lot easier, plus it's on wheels. You can move it around easily. You can move it around your shop, move it around your room, whatever have you. Alright, this is just about finishing up. Yeah, a lot of people try to compare this to more expensive plotters, but I mean, it's really unfair to compare this model to a cutter that might cost $1,000 more. This is inexpensive. It gets you in the market. It gets you your feet wet in cutting vinyl. It's basically everything you need when you're first starting out. I've been happy with the purchase. And please, just to let you know, I am in no way getting paid or affiliated by any company either. I'm doing this review just solely because I want to. I was bored, and basically when I was looking up USCutter and this model, I really didn't see any reviews other than the ones from the company. And those can tend to be biased sometimes, so it's done. I just roll it down now and cut it. Alright guys, thanks for checking this out, and hopefully this can help you out a little bit in your decision. Thanks.